Whatnot's Reactor Core number 110. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined by Ignacio Rojas. Ignacio, it's apparently very hot where you are. So hot that your fan isn't even working, which means it's about to be more hot. How are you holding
Honestly, oh man, I'm barely holding up. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if my fan. So I think the port is a problem, and I wouldn't be surprised if the problem was that it got very overused.
Interesting. Okay. I see. Well, hopefully things will cool down a bit for you over there.
Global warming's a bitch, man.
Right.
Also, I have my PC right next to me, and that generates a lot of heat. And it's
for sure.
I have it
for sure
down here next to me, and it's blowing upwards. So,
well, at least you are not completely covered head to toe in Beskar steel, because we are here to talk about The Mandalorian Season 3, Part 1, which for us, I guess, means the first half. We are going to be discussing episodes 1 through 4, and then we will reconvene in about a month's time to discuss the second half of the show. It's only 8 episodes. Is that right? 8 episodes? I think that's what it was, because I think that's what we'd planned.
I'm leaving all of the logistics to you, so you should know.
If only we had the technology to look up this information. What can you do?
Only in Star Wars. Not really.
Yeah. Star Wars, The Mandalorian, Season 3. We are halfway through it, if I'm not mistaken. Ignacio, how are you feeling? What is this? Is this one doing it for you? Are you enjoying it? Are you just kind of meh? How are you feeling?
Man, it should tell you something that, first of all, when it released, episode 1 of season 3 released, I was taken by surprise because I didn't know it was releasing that soon. And then I watched that first episode at some point, and then 2 days ago I watched episodes 2 and 3. Yeah. So that should tell you something.
Ironically, that's kind of what I did. I watched that first one like a couple days after it released, and then I waited to watch the next ones until this week. But I'm enjoying it though.
Yeah, I mean, it is enjoyable. My thing is that I'm having a hard time finding the drive to watch it, the passion to watch it. It is fine. I'm saying a lot of but the thing is that I don't know where the story is going, or what is it telling, Kyle? What story is it telling? Because we already had the adventure of season 1 that was all of, hey, there's this mystery about Grogu. What's his deal? There's this Mandalorian. 8 episodes. Go for it. Yeah. The second season, if I'm not mistaken, that's Moth Gideon. Mothman.
Yeah.
Mothman. Yeah, I think that was season 2.
Prophecies.
That was season 2. It had that. It had Ahsoka. It had the introduction of the Mandalorians for Rebels. Sure. But now, why are we here? What's the point?
Interesting.
At the end of all of this, what is the point?
Not seeing the big picture.
I feel like there's no real drive so far in these episodes.
Interesting.
There's nothing that they're looking for. There's nothing they're fighting for. They are just there. And that to me is giving me a harder time to watch the episode. Episode 3, if I'm not mistaken, it was 3, where we go back to Coruscant. That one gave me a little bit more of excitement in a way, seeing this new phase of what's happening. What are the ramifications? Yeah, what are the ramifications of the Empire's gone? We have to start anew. How that looks like. I like that. I like the angle of the scientists coming in from the ex-Empire, now having to be a part of a new republic. I liked all of that. But everything else, it has been a lot of, what are we doing? Why are we here?
Okay. So I disagree with you, but I think I understand why you're feeling that way, and I think it's because it's doing something very specific. The way I have seen like the growth or the trajectory of this show is that season 1 was kind of an experiment to see if even something like this would work. And it is, it was Jon Favreau coming in with Dave Filoni, who does all of the cartoons, kind of working together to be like, hey, can we make a TV show that is kind of like the cartoons, but in live action? And season 1 very much picked up some of the plot threads, or started to, like, hinted at them. And then it wasn't until the success of season 1, that massive, just like, oh my God, I think we have a hit here, that in season 2, it didn't take the episodic approach that season 1 did, where it was like, here's a little small story about a town, and he meets the sheriff, and he has to go help him with that thing. Or here's their version of Seven Samurai, and they have to help the town. Like, it's not that episodic thing. It was more like, okay, we have a little bit of story to work with here. There's all this stuff about the Dark Saber, which they are heading up, which is pulling on plot threads from the cartoons. And so, yeah, if you haven't seen those cartoons, some of that stuff might be a little lost on you. But I think what's happening now in season 3 is we are starting to either see Mandalore get rebuilt, or Deathwatch be redeemed, which either one is interesting, right? They seem to be like building up a new community of Mandalorians. And then, like you said, yeah, in episode 3, we get to see, I don't remember the character's name, but that scientist who we saw way back in season 1, he is now trying to get reacclimated into the New Republic. But he's working on cloning, which is the interesting thing here. He was working on cloning for the Empire, and as we know from the newer trilogy, that's kind of the thing that they did with the Emperor. They cloned him, and so I think this show is starting to explore, like, well, how did that come to be? How did they get this cloning process? How did they do all of that? Because we know that cloning exists within Star Wars, and the cartoon also mentions that that's not the only way to clone someone, and the method that they were using to get all those clone troopers, the DNA sample was actually starting to degrade.
Well, they kind of touch upon that in that episode where the Doctor directly references Camino, and
right,
how the technique that he uses is different and better than what they used.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's yeah. I like the aspects of, like, well, yeah, how does someone get like, if they defect from the Empire to the New Republic, or I guess now the Empire is dead. So how do you get, reacclimated into society? I like that stuff. I think that's interesting because it's not focusing on the Skywalker story. There's a lot of space for them to play, but it is slow. I think this show, like, because of the massive success of this show, it has taken its sweet ass time to, like, build up stuff, which I'm okay with. But yes, I can see why for some it might be just like, I really don't know where this is going. It's just, like, it just seems to be inching along.
But how the thing is, to me, is that you brought up how, they could be setting up the rebuild of Mandalore, or the other thing from that you mentioned,
Deathwatch, yeah.
From Deathwatch, that. But my thing is that we are already halfway through the season, and what you're saying are possibilities, not necessarily where they are going.
Right. Here's also what I'm getting at. These stories might not be wrapped up by the end of this season. I think they're starting to now play the long game of, hey, we have a massive hit. This is going to go on for multiple more seasons. So we can start to do these plots a little bit slower and be a little more intricate and have more detail.
But my problem there is that even if that's the case, then you are 4 episodes deep and you're going without a plot. You are moving without a plot.
Well, it has
that
a plot.
It's
not without a plot.
What's the plot? What's the overall plot of this season?
Right now,
we're halfway through.
They seem to be rebuilding Mandalore, and they are looking into the.
Why are you saying that? The only thing that happened.
Deathwatch. He has his own foundling. Bo Katan is now there. She's now joined. And even in the one we got today, like they bring those baby birds back. We got 3 more foundlings. Like they are building up their strength, their community, their influence. Like they are doing something there.
At no point have they expressed that they want to rebuild Mandalore.
Sure. And it might not be that they are like, we are going to rebuild Mandalore, which is why I also said it could be the redemption of Deathwatch, because Deathwatch was a terrorist organization back in the cartoon. So to see our hero be a descendant of that and basically be in the same like religious creed that they were in is interesting. That he's not seen as a villain of the show.
But they are not doing any push towards that. You say that, this can be the redemption arc, but at no point do they make any reference that that's what they want. They're just there.
They need to spell it out explicitly. I think this is just what's happening naturally. This seems to be the case. Now, I could be wrong, right? We haven't seen the rest of this. So we don't know exactly.
But we're already halfway through the season, and we do not know what.
And there's going to be seasons
this season about. But what is this season about?
Like I've been saying,
it's
we're just going in circles.
No, but that's my problem. The show, this season so far, is just them doing stuff, not them doing stuff for something. Sure, you could argue that there was one of the driving forces was that Din wanted to redeem himself.
Sure, yeah.
But that's already resolved, and he's non-different.
But you're like, you are. It feels like you're looking at the immediate situation and not looking at.
We're halfway through the season. Halfway through the season. It's not immediate.
At the end of the season, you can do an arc, a storyline that takes place over multiple seasons.
Then what's the point of the season?
Doing. That said, I will also say that season 1 and 2 was just as slow. And like the meat of what we got in each of those is actually pretty small. Like stretched out over 6 to 8 episodes.
No, I'll give you that season 1 had the lulls at the middle where it was very much, this is the villain of the week. This is the situation of the week. But there was still an overall thing of episode 1, they set up that, hey, Mando now has Grogu, this creature that we know nothing about who has the Force, and he has to protect it because people want him.
Sure, yeah.
And that was the driving force for the whole season. Set up episode 1. Season 2, we had Moff Gideon as a driving force opposite to them throughout the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
We are in season 3, and we're halfway through the season, and the most plot that you could argue that has happened is that Din wanted redemption.
Sure.
But that was resolved in one episode. And that's it. All the other things have been... Yeah, but they have not made any effort to...
Bo Katan is scheming, right? She has like an actual like rightful claim to the throne of Mandalore, especially if she has the dark saber. That is their symbol of power.
But is she scheming? Remember that
she might be.
The first 2 episodes that we saw her, she was just sitting in the throne, not doing anything. Are you sure that she's scheming? Because she was sitting in the throne doing nothing. She was pushed by Jin to help him, and due to circumstances, now she finds herself with the Deathwatch.
Yeah, and I think she is. I think she's scheming something. I don't know what that is yet.
Is she scheming something?
It could be a hostile.
I think she's
takeover.
Only figuring it out as she goes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. She's starting to think and put a plan together. That's what scheming is. And she is seeing this as an opportunity to, like I said, like rebuild Mandalore or do a hostile takeover of the Deathwatch, or to like somehow influence Deathwatch to like essentially redeem them. That might not be her plan, but that might be essentially what happens for Deathwatch.
But those are possibilities without foundation.
I don't think so. It's based off the stuff we've seen here.
No, because from what we've seen, she could very well do as you say, and she wants to take back Mandalore. B, she could just next episode be done with the creed and go her separate way. C, she could just live with them in peace. Credits roll and whatever.
Absolutely.
See, those are possibilities.
With you there.
Those are not actual things that are going to happen.
I agree.
They could happen
100%, 100,000%.
And that's my
times
thing.
Infinity.
Kyle, that's my thing. We're halfway through the season, and there's nothing.
Yeah, I know.
Said that. Then why are we discussing? We agree with it.
When you're halfway through a movie, do you know what the ending will be?
No, but I know what the plot is.
For anything.
I know what the plot is. I know why they're doing things.
But sometimes in movies or shows, even halfway through, you don't know how everything comes together.
It's not about how it will end up. It is, the structure should be that at the beginning, you should set up what is going to happen throughout the
one structure, and it's a very simplified one.
But you don't figure out what you want to do.
Stories and narrative.
But you don't figure out what you want the story to be that you want to tell halfway through it, or 3/4 through it.
It could be planting seeds that you don't realize are as important as they are, and then something happens down the road, and you're like, "Oh shit! They were planning this all along." That happens in so many shows and things. But let's move on. Grogu. Let's talk about him. He's starting to. I don't want to say come into his own, right? But we did get a little bit more of a look into his backstory. He's starting to be a little more confident with his powers and use them. How do you feel about how he has progressed so far?
I like how he has progressed, but there's only so much that he can progress. Knowing that he is, 50 years old, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around that, and that he is gonna keep being a baby for many more years to come. So there's only so much growth you can give a baby.
Sure. Yeah.
And so that's one limiting factor. But I think that, they have been doing some growth with Grogu being more into his powers. You see him, in this latest episode with the training, how by the end of it, he was jumping around and taking the shot.
Yeah.
But you will not see a Grogu that will suit up and fight alongside Din.
That's almost what I was about to add. Do you feel like in later seasons of this show they might do a time skip of like?
I mean, it has to be a huge time skip.
Yeah, it'd be
they
after,
have all
after the new trilogy.
But the problem with that is that then Jane can no longer be there.
I mean, he can. He'd just be older.
Oh, well, you think that our 80-year-old Mandalorian is still gonna kick ass?
Why not? He's a fucking Mandalorian.
Fine, 100 years old.
Yeah, he'd be out there with his cane that also is a shotgun and everything. It'll be great. No, I don't know if that's something they would do or not, because I like the idea of seeing a character like Grogu, like this almost like coming of age story, right? But it's also Baby Yoda, right? Like he is the cute little thing. Like I don't think they necessarily want to get away with that unless they can. Yeah. If they feel like it is just as strong, if not stronger, than all the different versions of Groot that we've gotten, right? We've got the big Groot, baby Groot, teenage Groot, right? Like I feel like they're probably gonna skip with that. So yeah, I don't think we'll see him suit up, but I think we will see him be a lot more confident in his powers. And stuff like that. I did like the little bit of backstory that we got. We got to see him a little bit more in Order 66. It was Kelleron was the name of the dude, right? The Jedi that was driving him around. I don't remember how to pronounce his name. That guy was played by the voice actor for Jar Jar Binks, which is interesting. But yeah, I kind of, to be honest, don't want too much more backstory of him. I kind of like him being this mystery. But that is also another thing I've seen floating around is like, hey, what if Grogu actually is a clone? Since they are also coming up with this theme of cloning in this show, right? That could be something we learn down the road, which would be interesting because we know that species is super rare. We only knew of Yoda and Yaddle, and that was it. Now we have Grogu. But I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe it is a kid.
Maybe. Well, I don't think they were in a relationship is the thing. But hey, you never know. Maybe Yoda fucks.
Maybe he fucks. Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I do want to see him. I think I'm also interested in the struggle between him learning this like Mandalorian creed versus his like force powers, and if there will be a struggle there. I know Ahsoka's no longer a Jedi, but I'm wondering if there will be some kind of tension between like, do I want to be a Jedi when I grow up? Is that something that I can do? Or is it like, do I need to become a Mandalorian who also is a force wielder?
Yeah. But then you keep going back to what we just talked about, how they are backed into a corner with the fact that he cannot grow up that much.
Mm-hmm.
For as long as you keep Din in the show, Baby Yoda will have to be a baby, because of what they have already established. And I don't know how much
him like lash out, right? Like I think he's starting. I mean, he's 50 years old. Hopefully, he knows the difference between right and wrong. And again, he was picking up the little one dude, and he's like, "No, Squeezy, bad baby."
I don't know. Can he wipe his own ass?
Who knows? His arms might be a little too short.
Yeah, and so I don't know how much you can. I mean, well, yeah, you saw him with Luke, how he made that decision, but I think that was such a simple thing of, hey, choose. I'm giving you the choice. Choose Jedi or choose Mandalorian, and Luke seeing in him that he misses Dean, I think that that's simple enough that you can make it believable with a toddler, but then to actually expound on that and have there be a dilemma of, hey, could I be a Jedi if I wanted to, and stuff like that.
I mean,
I don't know if how far they can go with a baby.
I like it, speaking of
he cannot Grogu speak
being a baby. Yeah. That it like, I think more like baby behavior. That's a weird way to put that. But like sometimes babies don't like the decisions their parents make for them, right? Or I like they might play with that age thing a little bit there, and like maybe Mando makes a certain decision or is in the middle of something, and Grogu disagrees with it. There has to be some way he can like express his distaste for what he's about to do, and that could be some interesting conflict too. Of he like Din thinks he's making the right move, right decision, and Grogu's just like, hell no, are you kidding me? Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah, but then going back to the discussion that we just had, we're halfway through the season. Can they really sell that kind of story?
Again, I'm talking in like long term with this stuff that they can explore down the road, not with like next week on the Mandalorian.
And now it's season 3, Kyle. We're here.
I'm trying to look at the bigger picture and see all the pieces in play and trying to connect the dots. Your lack of faith is disturbing. That's all I have to say. Yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying this so far. I like the dog fights that we've gotten in space on the ship. Yeah, I like the monsters we got. Man, that one in the one we got today, when the big old dragon bird thing is flying off and he's in that ship chasing it like into the sun. Woo, it looks so good. I was just like, man, this is fun. I'm enjoying this. Yeah, I am having a blast so far. I hope we get more big monsters, more cool battles. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Do you have any other kind of things that you want to mention or point out, or things that we missed from episodes 1 through 4 here?
No, the only thing that stands out to me was the plot point that we had with the scientist.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, so I liked the whole dilemma of, hey, I'm a scientist. I'm here to do science. I was drafted into the Empire. It wasn't what I wanted, but I wanted to do my science, and I'm glad that I can do my science, but for good this time. I liked where they were going with that, but I'm not so sure about how they ended that. I felt like that having he didn't really go into the dark side. He didn't necessarily go into the dark side, quote unquote. But I wasn't a big of a fan of having that turn of, hey, if the New Republic doesn't want to fund your stuff, we can make our way through the trains. We can be very sneaky, sneak into a Empire thing. Empire, what they're called? Are those Star Destroyers?
Sure.
Yeah, we can sneak into that. I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way how they were. I like the redemption story of, hey, we were with the Empire, but now I want to do actually good with my science. But then it felt like they are kind of pushing him to go back into the, well, fuck the New Republic. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Well, that's the thing, is the New Republic then turns into the First Order. So I feel like his character and his story arc is going to be either a tragic one or one where he just goes full on bad guy. because I hope it's a tragic one. Like I hope that he is like really genuinely like, I just want to do the science and I want to help people. And so when he gets out of the Empire and is now here in the New Republic and sees the New Republic like just being real shitty and still trying to weaponize his research, like I feel like that is such a tragic arc, and the emotional toil that puts him through, and the decisions he'll have to make with that, of if he does continue with his research or seeing someone else take the mantle of that research and go elsewhere with it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we end up going that route and don't truly look at the like, well, let's look at the rehabilitation process if we do all of that. Or, like I said, I could also just see him just being like, you know what? Screw it. If you're all the bad guys, then so am I. And he's just like, I'm going to do the most vile stuff with this. And yeah, I'll clone your emperor. Why not? Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, I really enjoyed that too. I do hope we return to that and see what happens a little bit more. But yeah, that's all I have for the first half of The Mandalorian. So yeah, I guess that wraps us up for our reaction discussion of part 1 of season 3 of The Mandalorian. Ignacio, where can the people find you on the interwebs?
They can find me on Twitter at IgnacioRojasB. That's IGNACIOROJASB.
Go. You guys can find me at Kyle Springer. And if you would like to stay up to date with all of the stuff that we do here at The Whatnots, we are at The Whatnots on Twitter. So please go like, share, and subscribe. That would help us out a ton. If you're watching the YouTube version of this, we'll put some other videos right over there. We just did a Shazam Fury of the Gods spoiler cast as well. So maybe go check that one out. But yeah, this has been number 110 of the Whatnots Reactor Core. We will see you all next time. Bye.